all you wonderful people out there in podcast land. This is episode 204 of eBay the Right Way. Today's date is February 12th, 2025, and my guest is Christine in California. Announcements. Just one. The 1099s are on eBay ready for you to download. If you did not receive the email, you can check in and pull that yourself. Just go to your seller hub under the Payments tab and then go down to Taxes, and you'll be taken to a page where all of your previous 1099s are, if you've had them. And mine go back to 2019. You can also download the entire history for the previous year by clicking on 1099 Details right next to that 1099 tab. It is a CSV file that includes all the orders that factored in to your gross amount of payments. It also includes other details such as expenses, refunds, and order earnings for each order, which can be useful when preparing your taxes. So if you're that detail oriented and you want to see everything that happened in 2024, you can pull that information and put it into a spreadsheet and do all your spreadsheet magic of organizing and sorting and resorting or whatever you want to do with it. So yes, we do have a complete 1-year history for tax purposes. And here is your nudge to get working on those taxes. If you normally wait until the last minute, why not make this year different? Do it early and enjoy a stress-free April. Okay, public service announcement over. Let's meet.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back. I have Chrissy with us, and Chrissy was marked safe during the California fires. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. But how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Suzanne. Really nice to meet you.
Good. Nice to meet you too. And if you would tell us where you're located, generally, you don't have to say exactly if you don't want to.
Sure. I am close to the Rose Bowl, like Pasadena, California.
Okay.
So the Eaton fire was the specific fire that sent me and my family to a hotel for a week.
Okay. Did you have any damage?
Nope. Came home
Oh,
to
good.
yeah, perfectly fine house. We are incredibly lucky.
Very scary seeing that. I'm clear across country, but just just very scary. Now, so does something? Did you get an alert on your phone, or how did you get notified? Like it's time to evacuate.
So there's we knew that it was going to be a very windy Santa Ana day. There's a local weather forecaster who kind of gave everybody a week's warning of like, if something happens, this isn't going to be good. So everyone was kind of on alert anyway. That Tuesday was when the fire started at the next town over. And there was no sleep. Everybody had packed a bag already. We told our kids slept, they were fine. But have all of your clothes ready, have the pets kind of know where all of the carriers are and the leashes. And my husband and I woke up every hour or so and checked this really great app called Watch Duty that was
Mhm.
really helpful. And at some point our power went out, which is not great because we live in a part of the town where without power there's no internet. But I
Oh,
have a really close-knit street, so we all kind of kept each other informed. And then at around 5 in the morning, everybody got a alert on their phone that our whole town was evacuated. So
mhm.
we had already had everything ready. We got in the car, did a quick, honk and make sure all the neighbors were aware of it, and left with 7 humans, 2 dogs, and 2 cats. So
Okay.
it was a full hotel.
Oh gosh. And you said it was an hour away.
Yeah, we made I had the night before I had kind of pre-planned where we were going to go. I wanted to make sure it was well out of fire zone, and there wasn't just our fire. There was the Pacific Palisades fire, so there were little fires erupting kind of all over. So I also wanted to make sure it was a pet-friendly hotel, and
Mm-hmm.
so we kind of knew where we were going anyway. So we all got in our cars. We met at a Target parking lot, a couple like out of the evacuation zone, called the hotel, got our rooms, and we're on our way.
Okay. Well, again, glad you're safe and that your home was not damaged.
But the packing your car, knowing that you might not come back to a home, is
Mm.
it is quite eye-opening how little you care about. And
Mhm.
we had more space in our car, but besides, like we said, a thing of luggage each so we had something to change into, and like your medicine and your passports and your pets. I looked around at all of the stuff that I had for eBay for myself, and it was just like, leave it, like let's just go. And I think that a benefit to what we went through was that realization that I told my husband for our 20th meeting each other anniversary is coming up this month or in February, and which might be the month that this is on. It's also Valentine's Day. I'm like, for my Valentine's present, get me a dumpster so I can just start throwing stuff away.
Right. Yeah, it's very in your face when you have to make decisions on the spot about what's important.
Exactly.
So, and having less stuff makes it easier.
Absolutely.
Or,
Yes.
you could keep stuff in a storage unit or, in a safe place. But again, it's like photographs and memorabilia from, your family and that kind of thing that is important.
Yeah, the
So
non-replaceables for sure.
yeah, that's what Google Drive is for. I've got all my pictures and recipes, and I put everything in Google Drive.
I need to do that so
Just
badly.
and shared it with my kids, and like, so it's there. That's not going to get destroyed. But there's those tubs of scrapbooks and baby books and all those things that are important. So
But yeah, don't tell my kids though, the tub of their school projects did not make it into the car. It's like, I
their
don't need
kindergarten
their,
finger paints, yeah.
yeah, no, don't need it. Don't need it.
Yeah, you got to make a judgment call on that. Well, again, glad you're safe and there was no damage and you could come home and just pick up where you left off.
Oh,
So
I appreciate it. Thank you.
here we are. Now let's transition to talking about eBay. Um, what got you started on eBay and when was that?
I was trying to figure out what's the catalyst for starting. It was about a year and a half ago, maybe close to 2 years, that I really got into it. I can't think of a specific catalyst other than I have ADHD and I always need a project. And it was I, it's twofold. I always need a project, and I've always been interested in history and very like personal history, as opposed to, and I also am interested in big historical events. But the idea that real human beings lived these events is very exciting to me. So I would
Mm-hmm.
always kind of go to flea markets and thrift stores, and when I saw things that felt very personal, like there was like a real human connection to it, I always wanted it, and maybe sort of hoarded it, and got to a point where I realized I probably need to get rid of some of the stuff that I'm hoarding. And then when I realized people wanted it too, it felt more like a a mission to save these things and get it into the hands of people that really care about it. Does that make any sense? Probably not.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Rescuing. Yes,
Yeah,
rescuing is a big part of this. It's not just keeping it out of the landfill, but getting it into the hands of someone that will appreciate it and treasure it.
exactly.
Yes, I
There's like
totally get that.
there's a I'm going to be very badly paraphrasing this, but the ancient Egyptians had a saying that you died twice. You died when your soul leaves your body, like when your body is no longer alive, and you die when people stop saying your name. And I
Oh,
feel like it's whenever I find like a locket with, Nora written on it or a picture, I feel like I get to bring that person alive again, even for a little bit of time.
Hmm.
It's a really cool uh, ability we have.
Yeah, those possessions, or even if it's someone's name in a document,
Yeah.
it keeps them alive. Not it keeps their memory alive, but keeps their spirit alive. I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you also have a very interesting regular job. You want to share what you do?
Um, so I write for TV and movies, mainly sitcoms in Hollywood, and it's a very fun job, but it is a very um, there's lots of downtime, and uh,
Hmm.
and then there's a lot of not downtime. And eBay was great to kind of like fill in the gaps. Again, ADHD, I have to always have a project going on. So even when
Right.
I was working, 14, 16-hour days, and I'd come home at 2 in the morning, the way my brain kind of like settles down is packing my items to send to the post office the next day. So
Hmm. Okay. Well, and I can imagine in that industry, with the actor strikes and the
yeah,
all
exactly.
the different groups of employees that do the strikes. And so you may be sitting there with nothing to do for a little while. So eBay is a good filler.
Yeah, well, even when you're lucky and you're on a show that is continuously going and there's no strikes, there's always some hiatus time. There's always a few months between seasons where everything just kind of, you need a good month of that to just like pass out and sleep it all off. And then you get to, but then you like start waking up and becoming a human again. And you're like, I need something to do.
So how does that work? Or is it a regular 9 to 5? Do you go on site or do you do the writing at home?
Um, so it depends on what we're doing. If my writing partner, Jessica, and I are developing our own project or working with a studio, or it's not a show that's on the air right now, then we usually do it from home. It can be on our time, which is not always the best for us because we are people that like a deadline. So there'll be days where, it's like, all right, we really have to work on X project. And then we spend the first 2 hours chit-chatting about, how best friends do. Or like, we should go out to lunch, or like, let's go for a walk, that kind of stuff. And then
Hmm.
we barely get anything done until we absolutely have to. And then we are working on it nonstop. The other version, so if we're on like a TV show, and it's the season's going, usually you get to work and you go to the writer, it's called the writer's room, around 10 o'clock. We tend to like to sleep in our industry, so it's around 10 o'clock, and then you can go home at 5 on a really good day, or 5 in the morning on a really bad day, because uh, with TV there are very set deadlines and you have to get your work done. So if the studio didn't like a particular script and you're shooting it tomorrow, you have to have that script completely rewritten by then. So our hours can be pretty intense. So
Hmm.
again, why when there's downtime, uh, we like to sleep a lot. Have I mentioned how much
Okay.
writers like to sleep? We really, really like to sleep.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. There's pressure to get the work done by a certain time. And if it's not right, you got to do it over again. And
Oh, and it's
yeah.
not like, math where there's a right or a wrong answer. It's uh it's there is no it is done. That it's always, can it be funnier? Is this the right way? Is this the right? It's a big problem solving that you're doing, like when you're working on it, your head is just constantly like focus, focus, focus. Because it again, it is not, it sounds like a fun job. Like I really do make jokes for a living, but when you're really focused on it, on the problem of it, it can be pretty intense.
Mhm. Okay, that makes sense. So you work your eBay around your regular job, and let's talk about where you get your items.
I would say my three, well, four. All right. Again, ADHD. I'm very, very hyper focused on things. Like when I have a project, I throw myself into it. So I would say the four places that I get my items from the most would be, the occasional, oh, it's a Thursday. I've got some free time. I'm going to stop into these thrift stores. That
Hmm.
would be one. The most would be Whatnot. I get so much stuff from Whatnot. Uh, the problem with Whatnot, or the great thing about Whatnot, is it's 24 hours. So you're sitting in, you can't fall asleep, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. There's always a Whatnot auction to look through. Um,
Hmm.
Three would be online auctions like HiBid. They also some one or two local auctions that are also on HiBid that I can go and, so that's a weekly auction I do every week. And then fourth would be flea markets.
Hmm.
Southern California has some really, really great flea markets. And the best part about flea markets is you get to develop relationships with the vendors. So I feel like even if I'm not particularly interested in buying anything that weekend, which, let's face it, is never going to happen. But like, let's say I wasn't interested in buying anything, I always go just to say hi to my friends, see how everybody's doing. I'm very curious to see who's still there. The flea market coming up, because a lot of them lived in the fire zone. So I'm hoping I see a lot of familiar faces this weekend. We'll see.
Okay. Right. Okay. So we talked a little bit about, we both do online auctions, and like you said, there's just always going to be stuff to buy no matter where you're looking. And I got a big order of stuff this week, 80 items. And
That's insane.
I'm like, okay, no more looking at the auctions. My time is going to be spent listing this stuff.
All right,
And
so you say that to yourself.
that's really hard,
I was going to say, do you
get in
actually
the
do it?
habit of constantly trolling those auctions, like, let me see what they have. And once you start buying, you get all the emails,
Oh, yeah.
Texas auctions and the Maryland auctions and all the,
Pennsylvania. Oh, how much do you love Pennsylvania auctions?
oh, I
They must
know.
have their
Yeah.
great grandparents' stuff in their basements, because
And you
there's
just
always
start
something.
getting those emails, like, oh, let me take a peek, see what they
Yes.
have.
That is absolutely my worst trait, is my inability to shut it off. Like it's just so tempting, and it's all, yes. Online auctions are a joy and a curse at the same time.
Exactly. They are. They're so available. Uh, I have things shipped to me. Do you pick them up or have them shipped?
So there's two local auctions that I will pick things up from, but 9 times out of 10 it's shipping. And I have to thank you for that, because the tip of always look and see the in-house shipping. Like, I won't even go to an auction that doesn't have in-house shipping. I made
Right.
that mistake once where I bought a couple of items that were like $1, $2. Like, at most, maybe I spent $6. And the shipping, there was stuff in the pictures that weren't even in the pictures that they shipped to me. The shipping was $140. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, never, never again.
Yeah, I got to pay attention to that because I don't even think they care. Well, some of them get it. Some of them say, we
Yes.
only charge you the exact shipping. Some say, oh, it's going to be a service fee of $5 to $10 per box.
Yeah.
Some just say our shipping is done by such and such. And if it's the UPS store, they just jack it up.
Yeah. If it
Yeah.
says our shipping is, you have to contact X person for our
Yeah.
shipping, then just run away from the auction.
Yeah. And because there's plenty of them out there that don't do that. You just have to find.
Yes. But you'll also find the ones that, I feel like good eBayers obviously try to ship in as efficiently and cheaply as possible for the people that they're buying from. And a lot of the auction houses are like, great, they bought it, throw it in they're not they don't have time because they have so
Right.
many products. They're not going like, all right, what's the best dimensions I can pack this box in? Or like, if I pack this in here, can we jam it in and get her a little, they're just throwing stuff in boxes and sending it to you. So
Right.
yeah. But
Yeah.
when you
I
find a
bought
good one,
I bought a lot of trolls and some horse ribbons and something else that was a quantity of things. And that box came and all of it was just dumped in there. It wasn't even separated like each thing in its own plastic bag or anything. And I was like,
yeah.
wow, they did that in a hurry, but that's okay. It was fine. Nothing broke. It wasn't anything breakable. It was just normally it's everything separated by like the auction number,
Oh yeah, the
the
number.
lot number,
Exactly.
whatever. And I was like, okay, uh, maybe it was this guy's first day, or I think it might have been during their blizzard
It
time
might
and
have also been
they
that guy's last day.
They were,
It's just like, screw it, I don't care anymore.
That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, you never know, but I got everything and it was fine. So, anyway, let's talk about some things that you've sold.
So I actually made a list. I'm so impressed with myself, but I
That's
want you to see that it's
good.
not
I'm
a
so
small piece of
glad.
cardboard
Yeah.
that I had to cut out to ship something yesterday. So the first big like, hey, eBay is pretty cool item was I had started getting into costume jewelry, and I knew that this was about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So rhinestone jewelry was even more popular than it's starting to taper off a little. And I went to a local flea market, or not flea market, thrift store, and there was like a rhinestone brooch, and I was like, I asked to see it, and it had a name on the back. Didn't register the name, could barely read it. I'm 46 now. Well, I was born in 1978. I know you do ages and dates and not ages, but so my eyes are starting to like fail me. So I was,
Uh-huh.
oh, it's pretty. I'll buy it. And it was pretty expensive too. It was like $20, but I was like, it's really pretty. It felt like quality. I took it to the car and like used my phone to like zoom in, and it was a Shriner brooch. So Shriner, New York. If you see that name on a brooch, or earrings or anything, don't even think about it. Just take it, like just buy it
Okay.
immediately. So that brooch sold because there was like a little bit of damage on when I didn't know what I had. So I like threw it in my purse and stuff. So having done that, I think I might have tiny chipped some of the rhinestones. So with that damage, it sold to China for $500. If it wasn't that damage, it would have been like 800. Again, it was a book piece, like you could find it in a book. Some Shriner is not marked, but there
Okay.
are some. The more that again, this eBay is a knowledge game. So the more you learn about it, the easier it is to spot. I've never found another one in the wild, so maybe it's not that easy to spot. But that was the first time I was like, oh, hey, this is pretty cool. My biggest sale was a whatnot auction. Somebody was like had a bag of costume jewelry, and I saw a bracelet in it that looked really nice, and like it looked like quality, the way that the clasp was and stuff. And I was like, that is a special bracelet. I'm gonna bid on this, and it was for a whole bag. And I think I got it up to I think I bought it for like $28 for the bag, and then with whatnot, it's shipping and taxes. And when I got it home, I saw that it was marked Fight 585 on the back, which is 14 karat gold. And I took it to a jeweler to make sure. And it was like a big, thick 14 karat gold bracelet that sold on eBay for $2,200. So that was my biggest one. And then, yeah, that
Nice.
was a crazy one. And then also on Whatnot, which everybody should be just going to Whatnot now after this conversation. But another lot, I love ephemera. Again, I like history. I like things that are very personal. And it was just a big pack of like letters and random stuff. And one of the letters had a Pearl Harbor like postmark on it. So I was like, I will do whatever I can to get this. And the bidding for that one went up to 38. Great. It even came in the cutest old metal box. So I was like, even the metal box is cool. Like this is going to be great. Besides a lot of other really good stuff in that, like there was somebody's divorce decree from 1920 that said from here on in, blank name is a single woman, which I thought was so cool and want to hang on my. But so that Pearl Harbor letter was postmarked Pearl Harbor. So the bombing of Pearl Harbor happened in December. It was postmarked July. It was you opened the letter and it was from the USS Arizona, which was the the ship that's the most famously destroyed ship. Like everybody on the crew
Right.
basically died, and it was 2 pages of this guy kind of chatting with his friends. And I looked it up, and the man who wrote the letter was one of the people that died on Pearl Harbor, and that I really wanted to keep. So I listed it really high because I was like, this feels so special. I don't want anybody to buy it. But somebody did buy it, and they bought it for $1,200. So that was my two biggies, and my getting started big one. So those are
Oh, wait, it was that one letter that sold for that much?
one letter. Yeah. It was the one letter, but it was 2 pages with the USS Arizona heading in the envelope that was dated Pearl Harbor. And the guy signed it, so we knew who it was, and we could see that he was one of the guys that passed away.
Oh
Uh,
gosh.
yeah, pretty crazy.
Did
So
you
that
ever hear from the buyer about why they bought it or anything like that?
we talked a little bit. I think he's just a history buff, especially Pearl Harbor. So um, it's I've looked, and they're not all Pearl Harbor letters go for that much, but there are, I saw a story about one guy who was buying letters from a particular sailor. So he would pay up for those letters. I think this guy just thought, as I did, man, this is so cool. This is such a huge piece of history. And the guy's letter was so charming. Like, he told jokes, and he was a bit of a horn dog. He
Uh-huh.
certainly he liked talking about women, and it was really cool to get to put a person to the event.
Right. Okay. So obviously you buy on Whatnot frequently. Do you have a schedule for that, or you just jump on whenever?
Unfortunately, for my husband, I jump on whenever. So, I yes, I would say there are certain sellers that you start understanding who the sellers you like are. And I tend to gravitate towards certain ones more than others, and they tend to be at certain times. So probably an early evening is my hot spot for
Mhm.
Whatnot. But the problem is you can literally go on at any time, and there's something there.
Yeah, I can see that would be quite addicting.
Have you ever tried Whatnot, Suzanne?
I haven't. No, I haven't learned how to do that yet. I need to check that out because I'm always looking for new ways to do things and more efficient, you
Well,
know.
everything is a knowledge game, which I think is why another reason I love eBay so much, or thrifting so much. It's all about what you know, and do you know more than the other people that are in the auction or in it's like you'll see
Yeah.
something, and everybody else will see it as just like, oh, it's an old shirt, and you'll be like, I know that brand. Like,
You're like,
I'll
wait a
pay.
minute, that
Yeah,
was made in Hong Kong. Wait a
exactly.
minute, that was, this and that and the other. And that's what I do
Oh
when
yeah.
I am shopping the online auctions is I look for box lots and like what's in
Oh
there
yes.
and what's in there that they don't know about that or that no, somebody else might not see. Um,
Yeah.
and to me, that's fun.
I completely agree.
That's
It's
the
a game.
treasure hunt. Yeah.
The treasure hunt. And so with Whatnot, you can do different categories. So there'll be like a vintage jewelry category. There'll be like a candles category, like very specific categories. Or my favorite is there's like a garage sale and storage unit category, which
Mhm.
are, and if you find the right people that literally just bought a storage unit or like, "Oh, I got this, that, when the people selling it don't know what it is either. And that is nah, that is chef's kiss. Like, started at $1, the people in the room don't want to spend much, and you're like, I know exactly what that is, and that's coming home with me.
Right. Now, how does the shipping work on Whatnot?
It depends on, it's really cheap. Um, most of the auctions cap at 877.
Mhm.
So once you've hit 877, no matter what, like I've bought, boxes and boxes of priority mailers, and it's only been 877. Some auctions every 8 pounds will start recharging you 877 again, but it's never going to, and it tells you every time you're have the opportunity to bid on something, it'll tell you what the shipping is.
Oh, so
So
it'll be right there on the screen.
exactly, there's
Yeah, I
no
want to try
no
that. I
hidden.
just haven't made myself try it yet.
I warn
Because
you
it's
now.
new. It's a little intimidating because I don't know how it works.
I warn you. It will suck your time.
I also bought a lot of, I don't know how much, Fisher Price, Loving Family, Dollhouse furniture and
Oh,
people.
that's
And it's a
fantastic.
huge lot. And I need to separate and figure out how I'm going to sell that. like all the people together, all the furniture, like the bedroom furniture. There's duplicates of a lot of things. So I have to figure that out. But I kept seeing that Fisher Price Loving Family stuff. And I was like, oh, here's an auction for it. I'm going to even just to learn on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the grandparents, right? Aren't they the ones
Yeah,
that
the
are
grandparents
featured?
were the valuable ones, but there was a couple of vehicles in there too. And they're worth money. So even if I don't make a huge profit, at least I'll learn which things as I
Yeah,
research, I'll learn which things are most valuable.
but and again, that's part of the game. It's all learning.
Right.
I find myself getting somewhat lazy these days where like I got a bunch of Fisher Price lots on an online auction and maybe we bid against each other and I'm just kind of like listing them now as like Fisher Price. Who wants them? And I know I can make more money if I do what you're doing and separate as like here are the people, here are the whatever. It's just where do I put my time right now? But I
Right.
think I think what you're doing is the right way to do it, and hence the name of your podcast. But I think what I'm doing is the lazy person. Just get it out of the just get
Well,
it out of
who
the way.
knows? I may just do one giant lot with everything. I don't
Yeah,
know. I
we'll
haven't
see.
gotten there yet, but I just thought, oh, this is something you don't see every day. Certainly aren't going to see something this with this many pieces at a thrift store.
Oh my
I just
gosh,
don't find
exactly.
good toys at our thrift stores.
I could not agree more. Puzzles, lots of puzzles.
Uh-huh.
That I've learned that lesson that I don't need any more puzzles. No matter how sealed they are, I do not need to put another puzzle in this house.
Well, and like during COVID, puzzles were moving pretty well. Everybody was at home and needed stuff to do. And I sold a lot of puzzles, but that slowed down for me.
I keep hearing about how great reselling was during COVID, and I am so crushed. Like, not like I'm hoping for another pandemic,
No.
but boy, did I miss the boat on that one.
Well, you can't think like that. Unfortunately, with Helene, the hurricane that, tore up our
Yeah,
part of the country and other storms and the fires, and, people are going to be replacing things.
that's true.
And they're going to come to eBay to do it inexpensively. Even if they do get money from insurance claims, why wouldn't you stretch that as far as you could? So I feel like as people rebuild from all these disasters, that eBay is going to be valuable to them because they can find that exact thing they had that they loved
Yeah,
that is now destroyed and replace it.
that is such a smart point. You're right.
And, don't feel bad that you missed out on the selling on COVID because that was just such a unique time. And I sold a lot of athletic clothing during that time. Right around July of that year was one of my best months ever
Oh, I
because
can only.
everything opened back up and it got warm and people wanted to be outside and they're jogging and riding bikes and doing all the outdoor activities, and everyone was just so happy to be able to be out there again.
Yeah,
And a lot of stores still weren't open. You couldn't try on clothes. Even if you tried to order online, it was slim pickings. There just weren't a lot of sizes or anything available. If you go in the stores, there wasn't a lot available, and you couldn't try things on for like 2 years.
yeah, that was
So
so
why
weird.
not just buy it online anyway?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it sounds like a ray of sunshine in an otherwise pretty horrible storm there.
Yeah. And who knows what criteria, what situations are going to come together again to make people turn to eBay. But I just think it's an ongoing thing. I hear that all the time when, especially those little stuffed animals and loveys. My kid lost their lovey at Disney, or they threw it out the car window, and it's just replacing things all the time.
That's so true.
Yeah. Well, tell the story about the soap.
The soap. Oh
The
gosh. I'm like, what soap? I still have a couple packs right next to me over here. Um,
okay.
because inspired by you. So I love estate sales, but I would never go to the bathrooms. Like it didn't feel like something I needed to do. But inspired by you, and the idea of all of these products, especially soaps that are, discontinued. I
Mm-hmm.
went into an estate sale bathroom, saw a whole bunch of Tone and old Ivory soaps, and they were still wrapped and in their like little 4-pack packages. And I added it to my pile, as the guy's adding me up, and I was like, "Oh, and these soaps," and he was like, "Old soaps, just take them." And those old soaps sold for, I don't remember how much, but like $40, like
Yeah, I
old
saw I
soaps.
saw that and I was like, really? It was
Yeah,
one bar of Tone soap. It sold for
it
$40.
was a 2-pack of Tone, I
Oh, it
think.
was
Or
a
no,
two
it was
pack.
one.
Okay.
Maybe it was one. I don't even
Okay.
remember
Anyway,
because
it was a package, so maybe there was two
yes.
in there. But
Yeah,
yeah.
here's the
Oh,
thing.
good
Old
for
soap sold
you.
for
Yeah.
$40. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you just never know. Again, it is all about knowledge. It is just finding those little things that other people don't know about. And who knows about soap? Who's going to an estate sale, pushing people out of the way to get to the back? And
Well, I think some people do know about the bathrooms and the health and beauty and the perfumes, but other people are more focused on the high dollar stuff, the flatware and the dinnerware and the collectibles. And I mean, Coca-Cola stuff, you can have all that. I think very little of that's worth anything because it
yes.
was so mass produced.
You were just saying about silverware. On an online auction recently, there was it's not actual silver. It's like, sterling stainless steel or whatever. And there was just like a whole bunch of it. This was the auction that is close to my house, so I didn't have to ship it. And they just had like a big box of old stainless steel stuff. And nobody bid on it. So I was like, $5. Yes, please. Thank you. And I like took it home, and it was 3 different types. And one package altogether and sold for like $40. Like, great. The other one is still sitting in one of my eBay drawers. But the third one was like some Danish one. And this is why I bought it, because I saw the design and I was like, that looks like mid-century modern, Norwegian, Danish kind of feel. And that set sold for $250 recently. And it's like, it's again, stainless steel. Who wants it? Everybody's looking for the fancy stuff. But that's the secret. Like it's look for the things that everybody else will roll their eyes at. But you
Right.
you know there's something special there.
Yeah, that somebody called that the challenge of the leftovers.
It's brilliant. Exactly. Yeah, I know you had mentioned that you don't tend to go to estate sales on the first day. And first off, again, writers like to sleep. So I'm not getting up super early to go anywhere. I'm not going to be
Yeah.
waiting in line at 5 in the morning. And I've never gone to an estate sale or a flea market or anything where I haven't found stuff. And I didn't have to, jokingly, I will never push anybody out of the way. I'm joking when I say that, but it's like I never have to like elbow my way through anything. I never have to wait in a line. There's still stuff there. And yeah, I'm sure I missed great items that people are going to sell for a lot, but there's always more. And the treasure hunt is finding the ones that aren't as obvious, that everybody's not grabbing for.
Right. Well, I have gone to estate sales on the first day, and I just prefer a more laid back treasure hunting
Exactly.
experience where there's just, it's not as aggressive. Uh,
Hmm.
that's not my personality. You just have to evaluate what you like to do and the environment you like to treasure hunt because it's our job.
But I also think that's why we both tend to gravitate toward online auctions. You don't have to worry about the crowds. Like I'm
Right.
literally in my pajamas, drinking some tea on the couch, swiping my whatnot, or, zooming into the little pictures on the online auction and Google lensing the different things to see if it's worth it. And you don't have to, though I will say, the one benefit to face-to-face stuff, as we had mentioned before, is there's something nice to meeting people that are like-minded. And
Mm-hmm.
that is something that you don't get from the online auctions and you don't get from whatnot, is those connections you make with people, that when you see somebody that has something cool in their cart that's not the it thing right now, but it's got some really, it's cool and it's got a story to it, and you just know that that person is interested in the same interested in history the way you are, or interested in saving things the way you are, or doesn't care about disposable Target purchases as much. It's a great way to connect to people, because
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
And
that's
I love talking to other resellers and meeting other resellers. I have no problem with that. It's just we all set up our lives the way we want them to be. And like, I don't go to the grocery store on Saturdays.
oh
It's too
God, no.
chaotic in there. And that's the benefit of working for yourself, working at home where you can adjust your schedule. I try to do any errands or appointments or anything during the week. I don't have to fight the weekend crowds. And that just flows over into the reselling part is, you know, fewer people, the better.
Yes.
I'm not anti people or anything. It's just from a efficiency standpoint. And there's
Yeah.
one particular thrift store that is the worst on senior day. They only have two cashiers and the lines are really long. And I was like, this isn't working for me anymore. I'm in here too long. I need to be able to get in here and do my business, get my stuff, and go to the next place.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you'll be able to find things in that store on non-senior day too. It's like
exactly.
there's
Yeah.
nothing there that is so important that you have to wait in a really long line for.
Well, and I even heard that the management said, they hold back putting items out on senior day so that they're not sold with the discount. So if you go the next
Oh,
day, you
come
might even
on.
get better stuff that wasn't there before.
I think that's
Who
probably
knows?
not just that one store. I bet a lot of stores do that.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, because of your location in California, what are your thrift store prices like?
They're not great. So my mother-in-law lives outside of Philadelphia, and I've heard you had another guest that said that that area was like thrifting mecca of the country.
I think
And
Stephanie. Yeah, Stephanie.
yes,
Uh-huh.
and I can agree that going there, the prices were like, oh my God, like so much better. So the Goodwills and the Salvation Armies, et cetera, are probably higher than what you would expect from where you live. The some of the more like localized like church groups and stuff, you can find some that are like reasonably priced, but some really look at eBay now. So like you'll go in and we're talking like maybe 50% off of yeah, I can be very specific for you, not necessarily for the podcast, but I went to I'll tell you the three things I bought from Goodwill yesterday and what the prices were.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
this stupid little lounge whatever.
Oh,
It's like a very
Loungefly.
small,
Yeah.
right,
I like
it's like a little Loungefly mini thing for
Right.
Disney. But the online comps were like in the 50s to 70s, but that was like a
Right.
$20 bag for a tiny little bag. The
Right.
coolest thing I got, you're coming with me, Suzanne. So that
It's
thing,
so she's showing me some Mickey Mouse. It looks like
oh, I'm
Goofy.
so sorry. Yeah,
Um,
it's this like old 90s. I hate saying the word old and 90s at the same time because there's nothing about the 1990s. It's this big Disney animatronic Christmas thing.
okay.
And the comps, there's not a lot, but the comps right now for the two that are available are like $500. I don't think I'm
Really?
going to get $500 for it, but it was $60. So I should
Okay.
get over 100 hopefully. But like it's stuff like that. You're not going to find a cool animatronic Christmas piece for like $2. That's why
No.
estate sales and garage sales and flea markets are the way to go.
Right.
But the thrift stores are more like, oh, I've got some time on my hands, It's either this or like go to Chick-fil-A. And as much as I love Chick-fil-A, I don't need Chick-fil-A all the time. So it's like it keeps me out of Chick-fil-A. Let's put it that
Right.
way.
Yeah. At least you're finding something you can make money on.
It's all that treasure hunting game feel to it, where it's fun to walk out and be like, nobody saw this? Nobody wants this? All right. Nobody wants this.
Yeah, it is. It is a game we play, and some of these things I've purchased lately online, I'm a little nervous. It's out of my comfort zone, but and it may not sell for 2 years.
Yes.
I
Oh,
mean, it's an
100%.
investment. And then, I'll sell things every week that I've had for over a year. Sold something yesterday I had for a year and a half. So I know that, you got to get it listed. You got to keep listing, but
Mhm.
it may not come to fruition for a while. But if you've been listing the whole time, all that other stuff coming down the pipeline is going to sell. So
It's
it's just,
always fun.
sometimes it sells in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yesterday I had two things sell at different times. One, I was listing some of my, I had mentioned to Suzanne earlier that the way I do my listing, the night of whatever I bought that day, I take pictures of. So it's always on my cell phone. And that way, at any point, if I'm at my kid's soccer practice and I'm sitting there for an hour and a half, great, I can list. So I list a lot at night, like right before I go to bed. It's kind of like a downtime thing. And I
Mhm.
listed this big thing. It's like a 13 set of cards, 13 packs of cards in a big box. And I got it for $2 on Whatnot. And I listed it and they bought it like within 2 minutes. So that was like super fast. It was like $20. It wasn't like a crazy sale. But then later that night, I got somebody bought something that I had listed maybe a year and a half ago. And it's like, you just never know. And
Mhm.
it's very, those are the two most exciting sales for me are the I just listed this great and holy crap, somebody bought it. Like finally that's out of here.
That's when you say, I knew somebody would buy this.
Yes. So I have as unconfident as I can be in other things with my stuff, I'm like, oh, they're wrong. Everybody's wrong for not buying this. This is
Right.
awesome.
So is your husband on board with your eBay business and helping you?
My husband is a incredibly great guy, an incredibly great father, an incredibly great husband who has zero tolerance for my stuff. He now that once he started seeing that I'm not losing money, that I'm making money, and he's more supportive. And he's the guy when I'm working full time at like a job, will take the stuff to the post office. So he is like a really good guy. We have a rule, and I think it's a very fair rule that eBay purchases do not leave the eBay room, which in our case is a garage. But like,
Uh-huh.
I'm not like, at one point I was like, oh, the kids have some space on their bookshelves. I'm going to move some of the books. And he was like,
Okay.
keep it downstairs. And I thought that was really fair and honestly really smart. So it kind of, keeps me, it keeps me organized because
Mm-hmm.
I have to fit everything in this space. And once the door is shut, you can pretend like the chaos that is in this room doesn't exist. So that's great.
Right. It's keeping it contained. And there's something called inventory creep. Once you start letting it out, it just kind of creeps everywhere. So I'm the same with my inventory. I keep it in closets so I don't have to look at it.
Yep.
I have those fabric cube storage units and I put things in there just because sometimes you don't want to look at it. You've had enough that day and you just want to be in your home without inventory being everywhere. So I get it.
And it's easier to find. And yeah,
Mhm. Right.
the more organized that stress when you've got a couple of orders that day and you're like, where is that guy?
Mhm.
It's not my favorite feeling.
Right. Exactly. So, well, we have been chatting for almost an hour now. What's on your schedule today?
Um, I have a meeting at 2 o'clock. I have a meeting in a couple of hours. So in that time, I'm going to maybe run into an estate sale
Okay. Yeah.
because I have some free time now.
Anyway, we're going to wrap this up. And thank you again for making time for us and sharing your eBay journey. And wow, you had some amazing sales. So good for you. You're doing great.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Have a good day.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Next week, my guest is Denise, who has several outdoorsy jobs and manages to fit eBay into her active life. Thank you again for listening and tuning in week after week to hear these reseller chats. I think it is so interesting how everyone has a different story and a different eBay journey, and we can all learn from each other because you never know when your journey is going to change and you will have to alter your business and adapt to whatever's happening. So it's good to know what other people do. Keep working hard, but not too hard. Remember to take time out for self-care and to recharge. I mean, we recharge our phones, we also have to recharge ourselves. Make it a great week, everybody. Bye.